Good evening everyone, and welcome to a different kind of video today, with a different kind of agenda. As promised, of course, we are talking about the brand new movie that is We Few Survivors Part 2. Join me in this video as we talk about the beginning process of We Few Survivors Part 2, how we got there, the process. If you are new here, hello, my name is Farah. I am an actor and a fight performer who is breaking into the world of motion capture. Thanks so much for joining me on this channel. Enjoy! So folks, before we jump into the beginning process of We Few Survivors, I want to go through a little mocap vocab because there are lots of things that we abbreviate. Just a little rundown of a couple of words I might use in this video, what they mean. So the first, we have mocap, which is a shortened abbreviation of motion capture, which is the medium of performance that we use while shooting this movie. The second word we've got is PCAP, which is an abbreviation of performance capture. This is a little bit more specific when it comes to capturing facial expressions, using software, getting into the really intricate details of what the face is doing during the shoot. So for example, we used a headgear which has these little prongs that come out of it, and on it is a little clamp. You can slot a smartphone into the clamp, and when you move, the smartphone moves with your head and it can capture whatever is going on your face with a software that can be downloaded onto the iPhone or an Android, or whichever one the headgear is compatible with. The next term we have is the volume, and the volume is a term for the space in which the mocap can be the motion capture can be captured. Mocap captured of the mocap capture. It is the space in which the action takes place. It is normally surrounded by lots of cameras that are all facing inwards towards, it depends on what kind of volume that you have. Some of them are huge and some of them have cameras that specifically follow you around, but this particular volume that we used has multiple cameras 360 degrees around the studio, and what it can do is it picks up all of the motions that you do inside the volume. So yes, volume is the space we are working in. And speaking of movement, this brings me on to the term markers. Now, you've probably seen them when you see the behind the scenes in movies that use green screen or CGI. They're tiny little dots. They're kind of like little ping pong balls that are stuck to all of the major joints and major kind of areas on the body where we need to differentiate what part of the body it is. So for example, you may have them on parts of your hand, on your wrist, elbows, parts of your arm, just so the cameras can pick up, even if it's a stick figure, they can pick up the figure of the body. So yeah, markers are an integral part of motion capture. And next that leads me on to stunt patches. Now we use stunt patches quite a lot in this production because there is a lot of fighting, there's a lot of dynamic movement, creatures are moving in a really unnatural way. So of course, you know, with lots of very dynamic movement, there's going to be lots of times where markers may transfer onto other people, they may fall off, they may come flinging off in the middle of a fight, who knows. So stunt patches are small Velcro little pieces that you slot over the markers, stick them down, and because they're on top, they stop the markers from coming off easily. That's all of the mocap vocab that I need to go over right now because I don't really think there's any more abbreviations or complex terms that I use in the video, but if there is, I'll make a note of it and I will make sure I put it somewhere in the video. So let's talk about the first chapter of how this all began. And the first chapter is, of course, pre-production. How did this happen? How did I hear about it? So I received an email from an instructor that I had whilst I was at East 15. They were doing a casting call out and I received an invitation to self-tape, which was great because, you know, they're looking for performers with specific skill sets such as fighting, they've had some familiarity with motion capture, we're looking to deliver acting, performance. So yeah, I was really excited when I got the call to do this tape because I was thinking, oh, I know this is an exciting new project. I got a choice of characters to choose from, which is normally sometimes more rare in these situations. You may get a character and multiple scenes to choose from, but we had a character list that we could select who we wanted to take for. And I ended up choosing 2 female characters who were sort of guards, and then 1 younger character in this. And you know what? The director and the team actually said that the the child that I auditioned, the character that I auditioned for, is the child was actually all right. So yeah, me trying to really, you know, stretch myself out in terms of my range. And it was really fun. I was really grateful that we already had the world, because of course this is based off of The Last of Us. It is an independent narrative. You know, there's no Ellie or Joel in this. You know, there's no characters that we see in the series or the game, but the environment is still the same. And that was really helpful in the self-tape process, because I could see and hear everything that was going on around me. After taping, I found out I got offered one of the female guard roles, which I was really excited about, which upon looking at the character concept, I actually was looking at her and I was going, she actually kind of looks like me. That's, I was like, that's a little bit weird, but I had real fun developing like her character. You know, I picked an accent. I was kind of working on her demeanor and how it felt. Not disheartened that I didn't get the child role, because I didn't expect to. So yeah, that was the beginning process. Did some self-tapes, was offered a part, was really happy. It was a small scene. I had a couple of lines and I was like, cool. I was like really excited to be a part of this project. And you know, they were looking for people, like I said, that had those experiences in those areas and the combat training. And I was like, wow, if anyone knows me on this channel knows that that's right up my alley. So I was like, sign me up. I want to be part of this project. But let's move on. Let's move on to chapter 2, which is of course the rehearsal process. For those of you who aren't as familiar with motion capture, you might think, how does motion capture differ from theatre or typical screen acting in film and TV? In my personal opinion, I think it is the perfect blend of the two. And I'll go into that a bit more later on, but to summarize, you have to put in as much effort as if you were performing live, but the technical complexity of mocap, it goes far beyond things with film and television. So yeah, it is the perfect blend of the two, and it is a wonderful physical challenge for any performer, in my personal opinion. We had 1 day of rehearsals. We came in at 10 a.m. in the morning and we finished, I think, at around 6 o'clock in the evening, and all we had to do all that day is get it all done. Block through every single scene. We had to know where we were, what the space was, what the environment was. And yeah, it was a lot to get into 1 day. That's certainly, you know, creds to the cast, the crew, you know, creds to everybody, fight coordinators, everyone, because it is hard to do all of that in a day. It is a lot. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. You know, there's fighting, there's props, there's set pieces to move. But for smaller volumes, like the one we were using, we didn't really have a lot of that. So we had to kind of make things up. If we were jumping, we would have to stack things on top of each other. Structures, we had structures if we needed to, you know, clearly communicate levels with characters. We had doors, a door that opened and closed, which was great because there's a lot of scenes where we're moving in and out of buildings. So yeah, that kind of brings me on to preparation and carrying that into rehearsals, and just how much we have to thank Sam for giving us such a wonderful detailed script and backstory. We've got a whole first installment of the movie. We have an entire franchise of The Last of Us where we've got the game, we've got the series, we've got online content. There's so much material out there. And that really made the process a lot easier in terms of rehearsals. When you're very clearly trying to picture the world, we had it all in front of us, which was great. It was a long day, you know, getting through everything. My one scene that I had, I was like, gotta make this good. You know, I'm only in this bit for one scene, so I need to make this land. Otherwise, I'm gonna be really disappointed in myself. But yeah, I really enjoyed playing the character. It was good. Like I said, picked an accent, had the demeanor. I was confident in my choices. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought rehearsals went really, really well. Right, let's move on to chapter 3, which is probably one of my favorite parts of the process, and that is the creature day. Oh my God, I love creature work. Ever since I was a child, I used to be that weird kid that used to run around on all fours like an animal. Maybe it was a sign, but this particular day was so fun to film and workshop. Long story short, The Last of Us has such a huge collection of creature characters in its series. You know, we've got the runners, we've got the stalkers, we've got the clickers, the bloaters, just to name a few. And it was brilliant because we had Sam and Robin Berry who were running workshops with myself and other people who were joining, as well as the MFA students who were participating as the zombies and also crewing and also playing different characters, which was great. So we basically started from start to finish. You know, how does somebody in the world of We Few Survivors go from being completely fine to being infected to being a runner, transitioning through stalker, clicker, and possibly eventually a bloater? And we did break it down physicality wise, and you just get to grips with how intricate the detailing is, and you can see it so clearly, the separation. So when you do watch it and you do see all the different kinds of creatures, you can very clearly see at what stage of infection they're at, which is great. So yeah, creds to Robin Berry. He's the tutor of motion capture on the MFA course at East 15. He also taught me motion capture when I was at East 15, and Robin has worked on countless projects doing creature work, motion capture, voice acting, all sorts. Robin has had so much experience in the industry in terms of creatures and animals. He's got such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this kind of thing. So yeah, I was incredibly lucky to be able to have such a, almost like a creature workshop in the middle of filming, which was great. And also I got involved in a bit of it myself. So I'll need to look back at the behind the scenes to see where I crop up in the filming. But yeah, there's definitely at least 1 or 2 scenes where I'm playing a creature. So I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be really funny to watch. Okay, so next section is where things start to go a little bit off script. So we're approaching the first and only shoot day in the timetable. And it's about 3 days before we film. And I get a phone call from the team explaining that there's been a change in the situation and it's a bit of a last minute call, but they asked me if I wanted to stand in and play Laura. And Laura is the character that the narrative follows in this film. So a lot of responsibility to take on. I was shocked initially. I was kind of like, oh, that 3 days is not a long time, but I was like, you know, this is gonna be a really great challenge for me. I just really want to attack it and apply myself fully. So I accepted. I said, thank you very much for considering me. I really, really appreciate being given this opportunity. Thank you for trusting me. And yeah, I just kind of cracked on. I hung up and said, I will see you on Saturday. And then just whipped out all my pieces of paper. I was just writing the whole script because Laura is in basically the entire movie. She's got more lines, there is stunts, there is fighting, there is blocking. And yeah, it was a lot for 3 days. But I think in hindsight, I'm so glad that I said yes, because it just gave me so much more experience in motion capture and so much more learning opportunity. But yeah, a big change in the project, one that I wasn't anticipating. I kind of was relieved of my role of the guard and I was put into the role of Laura, who is a much younger character than my original one. So exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how it comes out because just different to what I expected in terms of going through the rehearsal process. And I was like, yeah, 3 days, just entire wall covered in paper of just scribbles of, you know, crazy writing. You know, it looked like I was conducting a murder investigation, like a private eye. Like, it's just, all I needed was a little bit of red string and it looked like a crime scene investigation. We worked really closely with Sam on what he wants and how he wanted to communicate Laura. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how it turns out. It was a whole different perspective on the filming process. But yeah, big change, but a really, really good opportunity to learn. Okay, people. It's the part you've all been waiting for. It's capture day. Was I bricking it? Yes. Did I have fun? Of course. It was great. No, I had a great time, but I was bricking it, I can't lie. It was terrifying. I remember getting there in the morning and I was there, you know, I was there early because I really wanted to just get going. I really wanted a coffee, but I thought, it's not worth it. I can't. I really want a coffee, but I was literally just drinking little sips of water. I was having like a little like bite here and there, which is kind of bad, naughty, because you need lots of fuel and carbs to do motion capture. But on the day I was just like, I can't go to the bathroom. So as they were putting the suit on me, I was like, hold that thought. I'm gonna go for my one and only wee of the day, because when you have all of the markers on you, and we were using a specific kind of gloves that Rococo had sent us, they also come with a coil. So, you know, between all of the clothes that I'm wearing, I've got the markers, I've got, you know, the PCAP headgear, I've got coils, I've got a battery pack strapped to my arse crack. You know, there's the whole lot going on. And what you don't want to happen is you get in all the gear and then you go, God, there's been really bad times, I need a So I was like, no caffeine. Absolutely not. I can't do it. That was one of the most difficult wees of my life, because it did get to the point of rehearsals where I was like, I really need to wee. So it was kind of just like inching out of the wires and just kind of like perching, just trying to go to the bathroom. Oh, but getting into it was really good. You know, I was like, oh, this is so cool. I have loads of cool tech, you know, attached to me. Now, as I was saying, Rococo, which is a company that makes technology for motion capture and all things like that, they had sent Sam some of their products. I myself am not part of the sponsorship. I haven't been paid by Rococo to do a review or anything. I'm just giving my literal explanation of using them on the project. Sam is in a partnership with them, so he's done a review on his channel if you want to go check that out, where he has reviewed the gloves that they have sent him. But me, I'm just talking about my experience using them as a first timer of kind of getting into more serious technology with motion capture. We were using the Smart Gloves previous model, and then they also sent us the Smart Gloves 2, which were slightly more advanced. And one of the things you need to do when you get into the volume is, you know, register yourself, because once you're in, you need to make sure that the volume understands your range of movement. So it kind of goes a little bit like this. Step 1, get in the volume. Step 2, make sure that the mocap technician is all ready to go. Step 3, you'll start doing a little warm-up exercise just to show a range of motion, you know, like extending your arms, doing deep lunges, you know, twisting your body. It's a very important part of the process. Every single person has to do it when they're getting into the volume to film. All will be well so long as James, the mocap god, all-seeing, all-knowing power. Thanks so much for making this production happen, because it genuinely wouldn't happen without you, because you're an amazing senior technician. So everyone give James some love, because he's brilliant. You know, without revealing too much about what the film is about and what's going on, because you guys still have to wait to watch it. This character goes through a hell of a lot, and there's a lot of ground to cover. There are bits where there might be fights, you know, there may be encounters with strange people, with strange things. You know, there are moments of like real emotional stuff going on. So it was incredibly challenging to not only keep up with my lines that are new, blocking that is new, fighting that is new, making sure that I am present and in the moment. That was something that I really had to kind of apply myself to. I mean, you know, she goes through a lot in this story for such a young character as well. During the shoot day as well, this was my first time working with a young person as my co-star, which was definitely a new experience. You know, in my profession, we do a lot where there aren't children around, because we do quite heavy stuff, you know, there's violence, there can be blood, there can be mature themes, there can be, you know, things that could be quite overwhelming for children. And I think the great thing about motion capture is because you have to imagine so much of it. The kid that I was working alongside was a lovely kid, very professional, you know, he just fully attacked this role and just gave it his absolute all. I was kind of thinking, oh, you know, I've got siblings. What else do you talk to a 9-year-old about? I was, you know, all the really relevant stuff, really pressing matters like Minecraft and math homework. When you eventually see his character in the movie, you'll understand, because yeah, he's a very hardworking kid. And of course, they have a guardian, parent and guardian there with them as well. It is a lot. You know, I'm in my 20s, and you know, I'm listening to redirection and you know, directions during this project. And I'm going, it's just a monkey clapping with a cymbal in my brain. So goodness knows how, you know, a 9-10-year-old is coping with it. But yeah, he did really good. I'm very, very proud. So let's kind of dive into my favorite moment in this. Now, it is really tricky because I had a blast on this production, but I would say my favorite moment is probably going to be all of the that was close moments. There are a lot of different kinds of scenes. There are scenes where lots of things are going on and there's noise and there's people and it's all very crazy. And then there's also the moments which are absolutely dead silent and it is like, I'm gonna piss my pants because I'm really, really scared. And it's those moments that I love. And due to the unique nature of the world of The Last of Us, there are certain characters that rely on hearing rather than seeing, and they move very stealthily, which made me really, really scared even during the filming. So yeah, it's those moments that were my favorite during the filming process. And what about my least favorite moments? It's really tricky because I think in terms of the overall experience of the shoot, I didn't have anything negative to say. So this is definitely nothing negative, but I think the technical demand of doing motion capture was just something that was really out of my comfort zone. And we had a particular kind of, not incident, because it may sound like it was really bad, but Sam kind of talks about this in his review of the first model when we're talking about the Rococo smart gloves. It's the second edition of the gloves, the smart gloves 2. I was absolutely fine. The first smart gloves that we used, they overheat quite quickly. Whilst I was, you know, it is a little bit like a straitjacket, you know, once you're in the suit with all the coils and the battery pack. And, you know, I noticed that my hands were getting very hot, you know, hot to the point where after however many hours we were filming and even after we'd unplugged them and plugged them back in, you know, I did have, you know, marks on my hands from where it was getting too hot. So yeah, there's just a lot of things to deal with. You know, think about the Bekah headgear, you know, that is whatever the headgear weighs, whatever the metal prongs weigh, and then whatever smartphone you have to put in the front of it, you know, that is a lot of weight on the back of your neck. We even had to change the smartphone out sometimes when we were doing the fight scenes to a smaller, more lighter one, because there was no way safely you can kind of, you know, be like throwing yourself around and, you know, not to spoil it, my character gets thrown around quite a lot in this film. Doing that with a very heavy smartphone and a heavy headgear, you know, it would kind of be, you know, like slipping off and the smartphone would be jiggling around and, you know, markers would get stuck to each other. So yeah, I think my least favorite, the thing I found the most challenging was the technical side of working with motion capture. And with that being said, folks, that is indeed a wrap. We are finished on the production. So I just want to say a massive thank you to Sam, to James, to all of the Robins, to everybody that's been involved in the production, in the performance work, in the stunt work. Like, everybody has been incredible on this project. And I feel very, very privileged to be a part of the We Few Survivors universe, and I hope it won't be the last. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, comment. I really appreciate you guys letting me know what you think of the video. If you guys enjoyed it, if you have any questions, let me know down below, share it with your friends. If you want to know more about We Few Survivors, check out Sam's channel. He is doing live streams every single Saturday where he goes through the editing process of We Few Survivors and also lots of different other projects as well. So go check out his channel. Please check out everyone mentioned in this video because they're all incredibly talented people. But yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for joining me, guys, and I will see you in the next video.